What's going on, good people out there in Utubia? It is I, the wolf that is bad, the werewolf himself, Mr. James C Lovett, aka the Bad Wolf. Now, if you're watching this particular video, we're going to be talking about the revocation of election. What is it? Most of you probably have not heard of it, unless you're one of my people in one of my chat groups, social media, and whatever else. We're going to be talking about paying taxes. Now, a lot of people believe that it is 100% mandatory to pay taxes. Other people say, well, it's optional. Where's the truth in it? Let's get to that, all right? So this is the facts. Paying taxes is 100% legal. Now, let's break this all down a little bit more, shall we? Legal typically means within the corporation, within a corporation, things that you must abide by within said corporation, like at your job. Lawful tends to mean ultimate supreme law of the land under the Constitution for the United States of America, held up and supported by, well, obviously the Supreme Court, the federal courts, and we the people, and to some degree, international law. Now, if you participate, oh, wait, you didn't know that you're participating in legal things? Oh, yes. See, Congress, which works on behalf and within the United States and without the United States, okay, they're playing a job of jockeying around. They're kind of like, your grandmother, the one keeps the family together and she's keeping all the different types of personalities in line and this side of the family, that side of the family. Well, that's what Congress pretty much does. So Congress pretty much stated that taxing is legal. However, it is to be participated if you make an election to do so, or you are in fact directly a federal employee or a direct state employee. So people such as, police officers and postal workers, government officials, people of those natures are subject directly to pay taxes. It's one of the reasons why even when police officers contact me and ask me about right to travel, that you can do in your private car, but not the police cruiser. Can you get out of paying taxes as one of these people? No, because you've literally signed up and changed jurisdictions from being underneath this particular Constitution, which is still yet the superior document even for you guys, but to operating underneath your states or other jurisdictions, which by law are actually foreign to the United States of America. So yes, indeed, the corporation, United States, because the United States has three different definitions. One of them includes the United States of America, and the other one is the corporation, and the other part is the body of Congress or the body politic. Now, what does it really mean? So Congress essentially said this: if you create your own sub-government underneath us, you can do that, and you can tax those people within your jurisdiction who have elected to be a member of your PMA, your Private Members Association. You can tax them. There's nothing illegal about it. They are considered your employees, and it is a privilege to work for you, so here's your tax. Ergo, anything else you put into their jurisdiction is also then taxable, much like your property and your behind and your children. When you registered them, which in Black Law's dictionary means to essentially abandon, you've abandoned that property to something else. You've waived the jurisdiction under the Constitution for the United States of America, keyword America, to being under the United States corporation or the state of or whatever else. Now, as with all my other videos, I tell you guys to hit that bell, like, and subscribe if you'd ever be so kind. And if you need any additional information or including a revocation of election, you can find that on blackside32.com. Is that the only way to do this, though, Wolf? Is I need your document or somebody? No. We're going to cover a lot of different avenues, though I will say that the information in mine will help to send it off to the main headquarters if that's what you choose to do. Otherwise, there are other options to not pay taxes. We're going to try to cover some of those here. And there's also a number of, a couple of videos on that as well. So we will get there. Bear with me. All right. Now, a lot of people are out here paying a lot of these companies $1,000 or $2,000 to do a revocation of election. This is not needed. Okay. No disrespect to other people, but for those people who are scamming people out there, shame on you. It does not cost that much. You can do almost everything you see on my videos or anybody else's videos, either for free or for a minor cost. I mean, if you're working with somebody and you can't get all of their materials for less than $1,000, that's crazy to me. My plight here is to help educate people. So you do not have to do anything in any of my videos, or you can do some of them, or you can do all of them. It's not mandatory. Matter of fact, I show you guys here that if you want to live free, you merely create a free and private site and utilize that, and then minimize your use of the straw man, or in Latin, the nom de guerre, which means war name, or as they refer to it, as your all capitalized name, which is in typography means to raise the lettering, and to capitalize meaning to make money, and to capitalize meaning to stretch the lettering. Typography means what it looks like. You can minimize the use of that or not use it at all, and you can create a whole new avenue in which you can operate free or cheap or very inexpensive. Stop paying taxes. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest secrets is that most places, people in Minnesota are all operating out of trusts. Yeah, dang near everybody there. It's a running joke, but it's in the private, it's in the quiet. So many people there are operating as tax exempt trust entities, which would be irrevocable. Irrevocable trusts, if you want one of those, are also available on Blacksite for also way cheaper than anywhere else you're going to find pretty much out there. Okay. Same with the revocation of election. So what are they really saying? What they're really saying is this: Congress gave the option for people to form their own governments underneath the United States, meaning you're subject to, which are all the state ofs, to operate their own government and to be taxed. But that also means that you, outside of that, can operate in private trusts, unincorporated association, 508c1as or FBO, your own micronation, and then be a tax exempt individual or natural private living person in the private sector, not the public. That's why all of your things are subject to public scrutiny. And when you use that all capitalized name, you are then subject to the state ofs, okay? And you're masquerading yourself by persona or a mask, or a mask, or a mask. But never forget, the eyes are always watching, okay? So when you do these things correctly, you are operating outside of the public. There's a public sector and there's a private sector. There's public law and there's private law, okay? You don't need to send out 1,800 kajillion affidavits and go, doing all this marching and crazy stuff. All you need to know is how to move, okay? Like in one of my favorite movies, The Last Dragon, you got to know how to move, baby. You got to have the moves. All right. So once you know how to move privately and properly in the private, if you will, try saying that 3 times fast. You will find that you are tax exempt in most things. Now, that doesn't mean that all things are tax exempt, because there still are some taxable events when you are specifically using exactly their materials, such as like a 401k, stock options, and things of that nature. Then those are their products. They are taxable. Now, that does mean that there's no way to not be taxed on those things, but there might be some ways to obtain them tax exempt. But for that information, either do a consultation or watch some more videos of mine, because we're going to bring it to you guys. All right. So now that we know that they are able to tax everything in the corporate United States, when you look up under the code on Cornell Law EDU, UCC 9-307, it's going to state to you that the location of the debtor, meaning I think it's number H, is the United States, and it is located in the District of Columbia. So in fact, United States corporation that most people are doing business under is under there. So how does that extend outward? Because you're utilizing their territories by utilizing the zip code. That's why when you were younger, they asked you to prove residency by utilizing a piece of official mail with your name in all caps on there, printed, and the zip code. And so there's nothing illegal about what they're doing. Same thing with the IRS. They're actually a tax collector, but what they're doing is not illegal. If you have elected, you have a contract, you have signed up, you've agreed with your 1040s, I will pay this and I will pay it next year. Well, I won't say they've hidden the information. You just didn't know that was an option. But let's break it down even more simple, okay? And then we'll jump into the information. If you want to, in fact, be tax exempt, should I give you guys a secret? Dare I? Make sure you hit that bell, like, subscribe, and share this video first. Okay, I won't make you guys wait that long. It's simple, guys. Move like the wealthy, move like the government, compartmentalize, and operate privately. Create a tax-exempt entity. Now, I recommend going to irs.gov because it's right from the government. You don't have to go through your state of, okay? If you do, there's nothing wrong with that. But essentially, they're going to charge you for it, whereas it's free on irs.gov. It's number one. Two, getting it through them then implies that you are subject to their tax because now you're doing business within their state, okay? And yes, if you already have something existing, you can dissolve that company and reopen up underneath a new name, or you can apply to the IRS for a change of status. You can change being taxable if you want, send the form in, they will review it, and if they decide to, they will grant it. If not, you can close that entity down. Once you do that, then you dissolve it with the Secretary of your state, make sure everything is paid up, and then open up a new one that's tax exempt as either a faith-based organization, a 508c1a FBO, which you can get one of those and how to set that up in my blacksite32.com. You can do an unincorporated association. You can create your own nation, which are also informational files that I provide. You can also do your own research. You can be a foreign or private trust or foreign grantor trust. You can do all these things. All the information is available on my channel or on blacksite32. Now, as always, guys, this is education and information. Only do your own research. You don't have to just listen to me or anybody, and always make sure that you guys are safe. Be careful when you guys think it's me in some of these chat groups or whatever else. Everything I do will be run through blacksite32.com or Levitica National Government. I will never ask you guys directly for money or to invest in crypto outwardly. If you're in one of my Telegram groups or anything like that, it will always be anything we talk about will be in the public unless you specifically hit me directly as the, I don't know, creator of it. So look and see who's the creator and click there. I'm not going to single you out and jump into your DMs, even though you guys are wonderful, beautiful people and you all are awesome. And, you know, I don't have the time to do that, you know. So if you reach out directly to me, that's one thing. But also keep in mind that I may not have the time to respond. So don't take it personally. I probably just have not even seen it. I'm sure there's hundreds. My inboxes are banked every day with invites, ask requests, and, you know, whatever. I just don't have the time. I wish I did. You know, if I can make a lot of money and just all this could run on autopilot and I could just talk to each one of you guys as you guys want and whatever, that'd be great. Or one day maybe I could zap my brain and make an AI and then you guys could just get all the information that way. Till then, you're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way, watch the videos or do a consultation. All the information is on blacksite32.com. Without further ado, let's get back to it. So we're gonna take a look at a couple of files and some information on the revocation. We're gonna read over some information on the revocation so you guys can hear it firsthand and then kind of go from there. Now, one piece of information, so once again, it's not illegal to pay taxes. So don't think, oh, it's illegal. No, unless you change your standing or the status of your entity, you are required to pay because you've elected to pay. But what you didn't know is that from day one, you didn't have to. You had the option. You can make an election to pay. You can actually make an election to pay a certain amount. You want to pay none? That's cool. You want to pay 5%, 100%, 32%, 80%? That's up to you. You just didn't know you had the option, and the option was there. Now, for those people who have a 501c3, which is inside of their jurisdiction still yet, but you have the option, you can elect to convert it over to a 508c1a or create a new one and then sell your other one. Okay, so one of the forms for a 508c1, no, for a 501c3 would be form 5678. But let's take a look at some other forms here. And then we're going to get into the information. So bear with me, the good information is coming. Of course, you guys know I had to hold it till last. Come on now. And we're going to talk about it some more. Share screen. Okay, so revocation of election IRS forms. So once the election is made, it can only be revoked with permission of the commissioner, a partnership wishing to revoke the election. Now, this is for I believe this one's for a partnership here, which is form 15254, request for section 754 revocation. Okay, so yeah, this is for the partnership. So this is if you have a partnership, this is how you revocate that. Now let's take a look over here. Internal Revenue Service provides several. So there are several forms, including ones you can make yourself for revoking election. Okay. So if it's an election under 615E or section 617A, you can file a statement. So there's the statement with the IRS. Okay. So you can also look up under section 754. We just talked about 15254. Okay. Most of this might be under partnerships. Okay. Now, as we've done before, we've talked about how, to that. Okay, Cornell Law, 15.1-2, revocation of election to deduct. It is a real thing. Okay, you guys can read through here and start learning on your own if you want. You can see section 617A 2C. Once again, they refer to 615E or 617A. For those people doing it at their employers, we talked about the W8BEN. We talked about the W number 4V. And as an update, keep in mind that there is no W4 letter T, okay? That's not a real form, though you can use it if your employer decides to accept it. Now, remember, if your employer turns you down from one of these elections, inform them that you have the right, inform them that I highly suggest or request that you review the information and contact the IRS. Otherwise, I will have to get the government involved, and it may be a lawsuit. I would prefer not to go that route. So please review my information, take it very seriously, contact the IRS, have the HR department devote time, because otherwise it's a denial of your rights and they can be sued. I've actually had people do this process and had to sue their employers, and they won, because you do have this as a right. It is a liberty. Okay, but let's just say you don't want to go that far. Okay, they don't want to accept your direct revocation. Then you merely create a tax exempt entity like a irrevocable trust, which once again, we do provide the trust that you can create and get notarized and then utilize that. Now from there, you might need to do things such as, create a trust account, which we've made videos on, or contact me for a consultation. And then you're good either way. All right. So why would somebody not want to pay tax? I have a lot of people, oh, well, you're teaching people to not support the government. No, particular U.S. corporation part of it is double dipping. Okay. When you go out and you go to your grocery store, or you buy a car, you buy this, you buy that, those taxes are what really go towards your schools and your roads and your whatever else. So that's why in poorer counties, they don't fix the roads a whole lot, because they don't have a whole lot going on. That's why a lot of people then move to the city. But then people go, oh, well, I'm being taxed. You like the nicer roads? There it goes. Now, that does not mean that feeding the DC beast or the United States government, no disrespect, but not personal, they don't use a lot of that money to go and build for our overall infrastructure and to support, our military. So yes, but they also make money off of the states. What, you think the states don't pay taxes? They're passing the tax on to you. See, corporations who are generating income, which is what your state of is, are for profit, and they're operating under the government as one of their agencies, and they have to pay. So really all it is that they're double dipping. So the city of whatever, the county of whatever is paying theirs, and then yet they're taking it directly out of your checks when you're not doing business directly on federal property as a federal employee. If you are, then yes, you have to pay. Okay, so let's get into the information on the revocation of election. Are you guys ready? Let's get the old microphone check 1, check 2, check 3. All right, so we're going to read a little bit on the revocation.
What is a revocation of election, Roe? A legal process established by the United States Congress that allows most state citizens to be classified by the IRS as legal non-taxpayers.
Now, wait a minute. Did you hear that? That means that we are state citizens, AKA nationals of the United States of America. And you were in your natural state as that to be considered non-taxpayers. Why? I'm glad you asked, because here's my why. The thing is, though, is that when you, on your own free will and accord, decided to establish that you wanted to be taxable, you wanted the benefits and privileges, and you proved residency, and then the state of gave you that birth certificate with your all caps name on there, you decided to use it as a taxable thing because you didn't know any better. But that's okay. The wolf is here now. Let's get back to it. Okay, but wait, Wolf, let's prove that part to me. Okay, so state citizen. That means you're a citizen literally of the republic of your state, meaning the private. This is where it comes into being that you guys are actually really Native Americans. You are native to your state. If you're born in Florida, you're a Floridian. That's a nationality. Oh, Wolf, I don't know if I believe that. Okay, trolls and naysayers out there. Let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to the GPO style manual. This is the government printing office. They have to print everything that they do, what it means, why, where did the name come from, et cetera, et cetera. This is the grand Bible of the government. One of many, but one nonetheless. So let's take a look. Shazam. Okay. So this is at govinfo.gov. You can go there for yourself. Styles manual, the official guide to the form and style of federal government printing. There's their official logo, authenticated. Mwah! U.S. government information. De jure, not de facto. Okay, here's their email. You want to email them? Go ahead. Now, up here in the right corner, I'm going to search for the word Texan. Boom. Why? Because I happen to know this. I'm reverse engineering. Okay. Could have just typed in nationality. So here's the word nationalities and etc. So nationalities is plural for the word national, which is the long version of the word nation, which contribes natives. But let's go on. Okay. Section 5.23, in designating the natives of the several states. Now, let me just debunk the trolls and naysayers. This is not talking about the indigenous people because they're in their own government. They don't use our names for these areas. They have their own. They go by their tribes. In designated a native. So if you were born on the physical landmass, which is the republic, not in a corporation or a corporate hospital, then you are a native of the several states. You are in fact a Native American. So I would be a Native American with African ancestry and indigenous Native American ancestry. Even if you're white people, WIPO, white people, you are natives of the states. You are Native American, but you may have German or Sicilian or whatever ancestry. Real Native Americans in the private don't have last names. You have tribes, clan, houses, whatever. So what does it say? The following form will be used. So in Texas, you are known as a Texan. You are a native to Texas, and you are a Texan. So you are a native. You are a national. This makes you a state citizen right here. National to this landmass is synonymous with the word state citizen or national of the United States of America. Now, can I continue? Awesome. All right. So let's get this screen down because we don't need that one and continue where we left off. So state citizens are actually really Native Americans, and they are non-taxpayers according to the Constitution and the Supreme Court and federal rulings, which are also mentioned in the revocation of election. Now, let us continue, shall we? Oh, and by the way, ROE or Roe stands for revocation of election. So row your boat.
Non-taxpayers. Roe overview. According to the IRS and the Internal Revenue Code, IRC, filing a revocation of election notice with the IRS allows about 99% of all state citizens to become non-taxable with no legal obligation to file a Form 1040 individual income tax return or pay federal income taxes.
So most people, but
the original
not
Constitution,
all,
the
because
Supreme Court,
you have police
and certain
officers,
United States tax
federal
court rulings have proven that state
agents,
citizens
etc.
of the Union are not subject to or liable for filing a Form 1040 federal individual income tax return. And
okay, hold on. So that means the original Constitution for the United States of America, the Supreme Court, and certain U.S. tax courts have ruled. Meaning it's done. This is not even a debate. They have already ruled this is law. This is lawful. But if you're paying taxes and doing certain things, then it's legal for what they're doing inside the corporation because you guys don't understand jurisdiction. Okay? So if you went looking for this, then you would understand this. This is what I do. I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. I've got an IQ of almost 160. Okay? I know where to look for most of these things. And if not, I get on the trail and I find it, or I find somebody who has done these things. This is real. Okay? So they've already proven that state citizens of the Union are not subject nor liable for filing a 1040 when you do it correctly. When you've either created a tax exempt structure or you've sent in your revocation of election, or the combination of both. But normal U.S. citizens, so listen to the semantics of this, if you will. There's a difference between a U.S. citizen and a state citizen. So different things, look them up. Okay. And then there's also citizens of the United States, which are essentially all of them together, all of us together. A state citizen can be taxable depending on what you are doing. A U.S. citizen can be non-taxable depending on what they're doing. All right, so let's continue.
And nor are state citizens liable for paying a federal income tax, a fact the IRS, Form 1040 tax return preparers, and foreign banking families receiving income tax dollars prefer most citizens in the U.S. never realize. Thousands of people have sent the IRS their revocation of election, ROE, documents and have never heard from the IRS since doing so. None of the people we have assisted with their ROE filings with the IRS since 2014, our start year, have received any opposition or challenges from the IRS. We are using tax laws passed by the U.S. Congress. Congress makes and passes tax laws, not the IRS.
There you go.
The IRS has no dealings with legal non-taxpayers. Filing a 1040 tax return for almost all state citizens is only voluntary, but not legally required or mandatory.
There you go.
If a state citizen/American national does not work in a federal government job or reside in the District of Columbia, D.C., or in one of its territories or federal zones and is not involved with an excise taxable activity, said state citizen would not have to file a Form 1040
taxable
tax
activities.
return.
Certain things are taxable. And
The
by
Supreme
territories,
Court
they
and
meet the
many
zip
other
code.
higher courts have ruled affirmatively on this issue, and Congress has passed legislation confirming this fact. This information is provided in your ROE documents. American nationals and state citizens have the right to send the IRS a revocation of election, ROE, document that effectively changes their tax status to that of a non-taxpayer. When the IRS receives your revocation of election, ROE, and your 1040 tax status has been corrected, you are not required to file another Form 1040 tax return in future years. You are effectively removed from the IRS's taxpayer database.
Now, let me correct this information part right here. If you go to another employer, you're going to have to update them with your correct forms. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to then send another revocation to the IRS headquarters. It does not mean that all things that you do are exempt from tax. Okay, some things are in fact still taxable no matter who you are or what your entity is. All right, but generally most things, like for instance, if you're still going out and buying things, you're still going to have to pay your local county taxes or whatever else associated, unless you go to the IRS and you apply for a taxable or tax exempt card that you can then utilize for making tax exempt purchases. Now, for those people who know or don't know about the passport process, we have seen through the state's testimony and through the passport agency that when your passport card or book is done properly, you, educational information only, are then considered back to being a state citizen if you've done your passport as one. Ergo, you are not taxable on most purchases. Some things might still be taxable, okay? But in most purchases, and we've already seen it firsthand, I've done videos with people with their receipts that showed this. That is what it is. However, if you want something provided from the government, you can just merely apply for that, okay? So either way, your passport, when done properly, or you just merely apply to the IRS for a tax exempt or directly from the government. The state might even have one as well. So you can go to your state and apply. You could go to, if the state's like, well, we need you to be an entity, well, then create a tax exempt entity and then apply with the state, apply with the IRS, apply with the Department of State, apply with the, whatever, apply. If you don't want to pay taxes on things you buy, apply. All right, so without further ado, let's go on.
Databases. Databases. Your ROE document essentially notifies the IRS that you wish to revoke your previous election to volunteer to be treated like a taxpayer. Anyone who has ever filed a Form 1040 has inadvertently elected to volunteer to be treated as though they are a taxpayer, despite all the laws and court rulings that say state citizens and American nationals are not liable for the federal income tax
They
if
can't
they are
force
not
you to do
receiving
anything
income
unless you
sources from a
sign
federal
something
government job
giving them
in DC,
permission.
not
Consent
domiciled
of the
in DC,
governed.
or in one of its territories, and are not involved with an excise taxable activity.
Consents. You
The
gave them
IRS
consent.
will continue to think you are a taxpayer, still obligated to volunteer, under contract, to file a tax return.
You waived
until
your
you give
rights
them notice
from
of your
being
desire to stop
tax exempt
volunteering.
to being taxable.
The ROE documents. Page 2. Serve this purpose. You cannot just stop filing Form 1040 without first revoking your previous taxable status election.
Now, this is true, but I also recommend that even if you do send in your revocation, that you correct it with your employer with the appropriate forms, such as a 1040 NR, an 8233, an 80 W8B, and W4V. I think one or two more in there. I can't think off the top, but these need to be filed properly with them, and then also sending in your ROE.
There has never been an income tax law that says filing a Form 1040 and paying income taxes is mandatory for state citizens or American nationals.
Only for
not
U.S.
connected to a federal
citizens.
government job or office. Income taxes based solely on one's income cannot be mandatory, as this would be in violation of the Constitution and of
Income is defined as a taxable entity within their jurisdiction, typically a corporation that is for profit.
And of their, DC's 13th Amendment that outlaws involuntary servitude, slavery.
That involuntary servitude or slavery is called peonage, and it's a federal offense. Now, you can't say, oh, I'm going to go sue them right now. No, because you went to them. But they didn't tell me. They have no obligation to tell you. There's no law written that they have to tell you. That's for the private. If you know, you know. Move that way. If you don't know, well, then you don't know. Your family should have told you. Your fault. Thanks for playing. But now you know. And now you are able to move freely. Okay? Just don't want to get it twisted. So I told you on this channel, we're going to be fair. This is not some sovereign, soft-tard citizen crap, whatever. This is the law. Okay? So we're going to balance it out. I'm not going to make it sound all glorious and whatever. This is the facts. Okay? They don't have any obligation to tell you these things. Either you know, you don't know. You want to know, you don't like it, read up on it. Or find somebody like the Wolf who does, and then learn how to move the correct way. Let's go.
Slavery. Excess taxes is a form of involuntary financial slavery. And how do we know the IRS won't double or triple income tax rates next year? Most people think the income tax is based on the amount of money or income they made or received during the year. This is a false presumption and not the truth, as income taxes are actually excise taxes on either an excise type of activity one is involved in or a privileged type of income related to a job as a public officer or employee of the federal government domiciled in DC. All taxes are either direct or indirect taxes. All taxes related to a Form 1040 are definitely indirect taxes based on your involvement in an excise or a privileged activity form of income.
Indeed.
An income tax solely based on how much you earned in a year would be a direct tax on you. However, all direct taxes are prohibited by law and by the original Constitution. The IRS knows this. Thus, the Form 1040 income tax has to be an indirect tax based on an excise taxable activity or a privileged source of income received from the federal government in DC. The IRS tax codes, however, fail to clearly mention which specific activities are considered to be excise taxable type activities for individuals, and if you don't work for the federal government in DC basically, then concluding that you have no privileged type of income is not difficult to prove. 31 U.S.C. says income taxes paid to the U.S. Treasury are considered to be nothing more than voluntary donations to the Treasury. Have you ever heard of donations being mandatory? Mandatory? The original Constitution, 1787, also outlawed income taxes not apportioned on state citizens, American nationals, and the Supreme Court has confirmed the original Constitution's intent on this most important fact. In other words, no direct income taxes are legally allowed. The original Constitution says in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4, to wit, no capitation or other direct tax shall be laid on state citizens unless in proportion apportioned to the census. The IRS does not apportion their income taxes on state citizens, so they incorrectly claim to call their tax an excise tax and use the amount of your annual earnings to determine the amount of excise tax you allegedly owe. When the IRS seemingly demands that you file a Form 1040 tax return, is this a violation of the original Constitution? Yes, but not if state citizens don't know their rights and they volunteer or elect to be taxed as though they were a federal citizen domiciled in DC. Federal, DC, citizens may owe an income tax, but state citizens do not, unless they are involved in an excise taxable activity, which generally applies only to corporations and almost never to living men and women living in the states. In the famous Supreme Court case ruling in Pollock v. Farmers' Loan and Trust Company, 1895, the federal government and the IRS learned that they could not impose an income tax on state citizens, and no other court ruling has ever overturned the Pollock v. Farmers' Loan and Trust Company ruling to date. The IRS, at their highest levels, is well aware that most state citizens and American nationals, not connected to a federal government office or who do not live in DC, have no legal obligation to file a Form 1040 tax return, but you have to let the IRS know you want to revoke your previous elected taxable status as a taxpayer so the IRS can change your IRS records to a non-taxable status. Many people over the last 7 years have sent the IRS their ROE, and they have not heard from the IRS since. A ROE legally terminates your previous voluntary taxable election to file a Form 1040 in future years, an election you unknowingly made when you filed your first Form 1040 tax return.
So still yet, even if you do send in your ROE, you still need to correct it with your tax agency or your employer, especially then with the HR department. I would recommend keeping a copy of all of it. It wouldn't hurt to get it notarized and keep it for you. That way, if they ever come knocking, you have your information there that you can use if you need to go to tax court or in federal court or whatever else. All right. So keep your paperwork, everything that you guys do. You guys really need to have like a storage cabinet or a safe or something like that and keep your stuff in there. All right. As always, it's better to be caught with than without. Oh, lovely assistant, please continue.
Return. The District of Columbia, DC, where the IRS is headquartered, is defined in tax law to be a foreign jurisdiction in relation to the 50 states of the Union. Are you liable for or subject to income tax laws only applicable to a foreign, DC, 10-mile square land area and the people who reside there? Do you reside in the District of Columbia? If not, you most likely are a legal non-taxpayer. The word internal, as in Internal Revenue Service, means municipal, limited to the 10-mile square land area known as Washington.
Internal meaning it's inside of what?
When the IRS learned it could not impose an income tax on state citizens as a result of the Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company Supreme Court ruling, the 16th Amendment was allegedly ratified that allowed the IRS to impose an income tax only on national government employees and government officers and certain people connected to the government and or domiciled in D.C., subject to that specific 10-mile square D.C. area jurisdiction.
Meaning they cannot tax the private. If you're public, a public thing, public entity, that they can tax. Because the public means within their jurisdiction, within their PMA, which is a private members association, but it's so large, it's called the public. Okay, that's why they can do those things, because you have not been operating as a private person, a living person, a state citizen, or a national, or a native of America, a native of the several states. You have it inside of you. You've had it inside of you the entire time, Dorothy. The power to be free. All right. So, lovely assistants, take it away.
Because the District of Columbia is a foreign enclave related to the 50 states, and it is not one of the 50 states of the Union under the original Constitution, 1787, the IRS in D.C. does not have to abide by the original Constitution that forbids direct income taxing state citizens when it taxes the national government officers, fiduciaries domiciled in the non-union state known as D.C. Imposing a local municipal law 16th Amendment income tax on government officers or U.S. citizens means statutory citizens domiciled in D.C. is perfectly legal, but it is not legal to impose an income tax on state citizens/American nationals of the 50 Republic States of the Union after the IRS receives your revocation of election that says you wish to stop volunteering to file a Form 1040. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th ed., clearly defines foreign state as the several United States are considered foreign to each other except as regards to their relations as common members of the Union. One state of the Union is foreign to another.
Boom.
The United States government is operating as a foreign corporation with respect to a state.
Correct.
In re. Merriam's Estate, 36 NE 505 and affirmed in U.S.B. Perkins 16S, CT 1073, 163 U.S. The U.S. federal government, seated in D.C., is a foreign corporation with respect to a state of the Union, under the original Constitution, 19 Corpus Juris Secundum Sector 883.
Corpus Juris Secundum, baby.
Emphasis added.
2003.
The state of Maine's Supreme Court stated, our right of election or freedom of choice between two different forms of government, state citizens are under no legal or lawful obligation to join or pledge any allegiance to the foreign legislative democracy, in D.C., 44 Maine 518.
There it is. There it is. Let's go.
We use the term American national to describe a person sending a revocation of election, ROE, to the IRS.
State citizen,
clear that the IRS has
non-resident
no jurisdiction over American nationals, and the IRS understands, recognizes, and has been accepting this term. More details on this will be provided in your ROE documents. When you learn who you really are, you will understand why you are not a taxpayer. Our ROE documents provide you with over 100 reasons why you are not liable for filing a Form 1040 tax return or paying an income tax. An American national, similar to a state citizen, is or can be a sovereign who was born in one of the 50 states of the Union or who has been naturalized into the constitutional republic. American nationals have always been defined as non-taxpayers by Congress, as they were explicitly excluded from D.C.'s exclusive 16th Amendment legislation only related to IRS taxing authority for D.C. residents, government public officers, and others directly connected to the government in D.C. The term United States is defined in 31 U.S.C. 321, D.2, and in 26 U.S.C. SEC 7001 as meaning the federal government in the District of Columbia, and it is not defined as the 50 states of the Union per 26 U.S.C. 7408, D. Do you really want to be a citizen of the United States, read D.C., under the foreign jurisdiction of the IRS in D.C. when you have the freedom of choice not to be? There are no implementing regulations recorded in the Federal Register imposing any income tax liability upon American nationals or state citizens, because there is no such thing as an income tax. A tax on your income only is prohibited by the original Constitution and various high court tax case rulings. The income tax is really an excise tax measured by the income you earned. Page 4. We use the term American national to describe a person sending a revocation. A statute related to Title 26 that deals with Form 1040 is void according to the Supreme Court when it lacks an implementing regulation promulgated, recorded in the Federal Register and, thus, cannot be enforced. California Bankers versus Schultz, 416 U.S. 25, 4439 L, ed. 2nd 912, 94s, Court. There is no implementing regulation applicable to a Form 1040, thus, there is no law to enforce income taxes. Taxes. The Internal Revenue Code is only prima facie and color of law as per 1 U.S.C. 204a, meaning that it is only a presumption or suggestion by the IRS of tax law, and it stands as tax law unless rebutted. The ROE effectively rebuts the IRS's presumption that you are a taxpayer and ends the IRS's presumption. The IRS has to dispute your ROE notice within 60 days. They never do. The term American national is never used in the Internal Revenue Code because sentient natural-born men and women are not juristic, federal, U.S. persons or U.S. citizens or fictions or any other term the IRS uses to define someone as a taxpayer.
Now,
you must understand
this is true, but one of the things you have to keep in mind here is that's the living you. Remember, your name in all capitalized letters is in fact a fictitious entity. It's a trust created by the state. So it, in fact, is a member. It is a U.S. person. It is juristic. It is a U.S. citizen. But as they gave you the birth certificate and the document, your Social Security card, you have to utilize them for taxable purposes or non-taxable purposes by your election. You get to decide how you're using it and what it's going to be used for and what it is. Okay? So that doesn't mean you can say, well, today I think, my all caps name is just not going to be that thing. No, because their databases still have you recorded, which is why you have to then update it or change it or leave it on the side and create something new that's tax exempt that represents you as a mask, which is a persona or personification of you, like you, but not exactly you, but that you operate and govern so that you can be compensated tax exempt or taxable if you choose, your choice, no matter. Carry on.
You really are and who you are not. John Michael Doe, the living man with unalienable rights, is not the same person as John Michael Doe, the government
meaning the name in all caps.
Created fiction character with limited or no inalienable rights. The IRS is taxing John Michael Doe. They are not income taxing John Michael Doe.
Living man.
How was your name spelled at your birth, and how does the IRS spell your name?
Now, see, this part is incorrect, and I'll tell you why. It's not about how your name is spelled, it's how it looks. This is where so many people out there who are close or those sovereigns or whatever else, this is where they mess up. They're trying to argue the spelling of the name. The name is spelled correct. It is. It's the format. It's the topography. It's how it visually looks that is different. It is in their books in their books, okay? The blue book on Uniform System of Citation, the red book, A Legal Manual on Styles, the Chicago Manual of Style. In here, it says that the legal person, the legal entity, the legal thing created by the state, the name should be made conspicuous as opposed to the normal style of writing, which should be all lowercase lettering. So when they put your name in uppercase lettering, even if the people who administer the laws and whatever else don't know, they adopted the U.C.C. They adopted the U.C.C. Federal government, from what I understand, has not, but they still yet are using the all capitalized letters. So they are indirect party to the same system. And in that system, it states that a legal entity should be denoted or designated, presented or represented by the all capitalized because they agreed on that. And to capitalize, which in Black's Law's dictionary is capitis demutio maxima, to capitalize, to capitis is a variant of civil or civis, meaning of the city state, a non-living thing. But capitis more so a non-living thing to make money on. To capitalize, capitis is to make money, to capitalize on. To capitalize capital gains, capitalize to make money on. And then to capitalize, like in the old Roman days in which these laws come from, most of them, to have a capital on top, to raise higher, to capital, to capitalize it, a capital. So that entity is in fact normally considered to be taxable. So they're not taxing you, the living person, they're taxing the entity that they created. But they gave you the ability to change it or to create something new that is also non-taxable. All right, so arguing the name spelling is futile. That's why they lost in all the cases in that particular area. You're arguing the wrong issue. There's little breadcrumbs from those people out there who are trying to take them to court and fight and win. That's how you fight and win. You're not doing the right thing. Okay, let's keep going.
Name. American nationals are not mentioned in the tax codes because the IRS only deals with taxpayers and it has no jurisdiction or authority over legal non-taxpayers, and tax court rulings have proven this. In IRS Publication 519, a non-resident alien, American national, who never worked in the U.S. government in the United States, meaning D.C., will not be liable for the U.S. D.C. income tax. Former IRS Commissioner Charles O. Rassotti stated in a delegated response letter that the law itself does not require individuals to file a Form 1040.
The Commissioner of the IRS.
Under oath before Congress, Dwight E. Avis, Bureau of Internal Revenue, stated in part, your income tax is a 100% voluntary tax.
Booyah!
Mark L. Foreman,
If
a
you do it
legislative
right.
correspondent, U.S. Senate, on June 26, 89 wrote, based on the research performed by
Hold on. Thank you. Now, educational information is all my information and files and whatnot. This does not mean that you can simply go, I quit today. You have to change things today or when you choose to. This also does not mean that you are not somehow liable for past taxes. That still has to be dealt with because at the time you had a legitimate contract in place. That doesn't mean that there aren't some methods to possibly alter those things. If you choose, you can do a consultation with me, educational information only. I'm not liable for any outcomes whatsoever for any of the information presented here. Some people have elected to sue said municipalities to get their funds back and have been successful. I do not do those, so don't try to make me any offers for a percentage or whatever else. I don't like to get involved in anything that's not private. But yes, those are options. Some people have sued them to not only get the money back, but under the guise that it was fraud and that they never wanted to be in that or make that election in the first place. Now, and you can look at things everywhere across the board where taxes are, in fact, collected, and do your own research and be your own person to move accordingly. Carry on.
the Congressional Research Service. There is no provision which specifically and unequivocally requires an individual to pay income taxes. The Tennessee Supreme Court was clear when it said that the right to receive income or earnings is a right belonging to every person, this right cannot be taxed as a privilege. Jack Cole v. McFarland, 337 SW 2D 453, 456, Tennessee 1960.
When you guys hear them mention Jack Cole versus McFarland, blah, 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 Tennessee 1960, in this video, in the revocation of election that I provide, whatever, you have to understand that that means this is a court case that has been settled and won on that information, which then is backed by the federal court, Supreme Court, and the Constitution. It's done. These are your actual real rights, not your, corporate illusionary privileges and benefits that they provide within the lower, though approved governments like your state ofs and your whatever else's. Okay. And still yet understand that they are still a respectable government entity, municipality. So never disrespect them or any law enforcement or whatever else, because they don't want to know this information. Some of them, most of them, only the elites, the board members, the people on top are privy generally to this information. Now, from one very wealthy person that I had as a good source who was plugged in with various agencies, we'll say a long time ago, one of the things that was told to him is that when the common person understands what they have done, or in their terms, we have done, not me, them, it will be the great awakening and everything will change. And those said people in control might get tarred and feathered. So you better run for the hills, essentially, is what was said. So what we're looking at here, people, is that this information has always been there, but if you didn't have the drive to buy the books, the money to get the books, or you were on the inside, and if you're on the inside, then you were sworn to the secrecy of said information, then it was just kept that. Now, do you understand why the pen is mightier than the sword? And why they say knowledge is in fact power? But what do they have you guys do? What is your normal day, people? I'm gonna take 2 minutes here. I gotta get all wolfy on you. They're providing you with entertainment to keep you from learning this stuff, and you are falling for it. Your Super Bowl with the red entourage dance, literally promoting dumbing people down in schools, half educations, toxic crap in your food, high gas prices to keep you at home, GMO this, GMO that, the CBD 1-9er, all these monkeypox and distractions. Read, matter of fact, I think I have it right here. I ordered a secondary copy. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This is the full text. Tells you how to deal with a enemy or a uncontrollable entity. Don't forget to join me, guys. Thank you for still watching this video. I know it's a little longer, but it's good. Okay, I'm giving you guys all the juice you guys want. So don't forget to join me on YouTube on my other channel, which is the Badwolf Media channel. So look up the Badwolf Media channel. That one, I'm going to go over all kind of other things. I've lightly started. I do have other channels. I will be lightly getting to them, but if you want to join me on those and just support, I would appreciate it. But that other channel is in case should something, knock on wood, happened to this one, which it did in the beginning years of me doing this. So please join me over there. And as always, support. Okay. I'm also on other media platforms. What is it? Rumble and I think BitChute and Odyssey and whatever else. You can find all that on Black Site 32. So should anything, unforeseen technical difficulties ever occur, check out Black Site 32. That will tell you what channels I'm on, where to get the backup information, and whatnot. So without further ado, let's get back to who. Take it away, lovely assistant.
1960. 1960.
Okay, I know how old you are. Keep going.
There are no regulations extending to the Commissioner of the IRS or the Department of the Treasury their authority to the 50 Union States. 26 CFR 7802A. The IRS appears to be a foreign trust domiciled in Puerto Rico as per 31 U.S.C. 1321A 62, and is not an original Constitution-authorized agency of the federal government as defined in the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, and the Administrative Procedures Act in 5 U.S.C. 5551, 1 The IRS is a private corporation domiciled in a foreign enclave or nation-state called the District of. Page 6. Colombia, whose jurisdiction doesn't apply to American nationals. Therefore, it matters not to American nationals what the IRS's income tax regulations say, as they only apply to government employees or those connected to DC's municipal government laws, or to those who have received income from a government source or who are involved in an excise or privilege type of activity.
Now, that's true. However, remember, you did get your social from them. And that's one of the reasons why, though it's not mandatory, people like me and whoever else have done the SS5 process, which was done and created here first on Blacks or on the Badwolf Media channel. Also, James C. Lovett YouTube channel. We were the ones who said that might be something, because we took a look back and said, maybe we should go back and correct that particular information, because our parents elected to do what on that application? To check off that we were a U.S. citizen, which in general, that means you're one of the members of you're a resident of the District of Columbia, of the corporate states. So that doesn't hurt. Is that a game changer? Don't know, but it's not a bad thing to do. You have the right to update the record with the SS5 and watch that video. And then what the state gave you, which was in conjunction with it, the all capitalized name on that birth certificate. That birth certificate was issued on bond paper and in portrait format, which is official. Most things American and de jure are on landscape, like your certificate of live birth or your heirloom copy. Most things like that. Okay. It's kind of the smaller and minutiae part of it, but still yet nonetheless, it's a fact. Okay. So let's keep it going.
Activity. 26 U.S.C. 7701, A31, basically says that an American national's estate is a tax-exempt foreign estate or trust. It's a foreign estate because American nationals, living in one of the 50 states of the Republic, are by law living in a foreign state related to that other foreign state, named the District of Columbia, that is not under the original Constitution, 1789.
Now, this is true. However, there is a proper way to do that, either by allodial title, which they do not like because they don't want to let go of what they have. But remember, let's back up. You registered the house because when you got your house or property or whatever else, somebody was in the system, sold it to you. Or if you go way back, and they were a U.S. citizen, if you go way back, there was the allodial title, which was the land patent. Here's one of the originals. Mwah. United States of America, the original one for the very land I'm on right now. This makes it mine organically. Now, commercially, when it was registered, okay, so somebody originally had one of those for this land, it got lost. Somebody brought it into being a U.S. citizen. Gotcha. then it was downhill from there. Then every other person sold the house. Oh, well, here it is. Here's the zip code. Here's the, U.S. property. You got to bring it, keep it in here. Because remember, they asked you to register it. If you're asking me to register it, that means I don't have to. They're like, oh, well, by law, you have to. No, there is no law requiring you to register property unless you are 100% solely and only their property. And we are not. We have the option to not be because we were born private first. So if you want to get a hold of Ron Gibson, okay, let's see here, hold on, who does land patents. Let's see here, hold on. www.blacksite32.com. All right, we're going to share the screen. All right, so you go to blacksite.com, guys. Now remember, here is where you can find to get consults, any deals, discounts, things of that nature. You can donate to the cause, raise one to the, or blaze one for the nation, file shop for purchase, and then you go to more. You can buy some of my gear right here at the Fashion Wear. Free documents, use this, use this, use this. If you want to learn about how to do the passport the proper way. So we got things right here like the Pro Shop. You can go to the Pro Shop. Okay. You can buy stuff right here. You can shop on Amazon through this link for discounts. I also do get a percentage if you do that, keeping it real. If you want your mortgage audited, okay, find the fraud. But right here, the land patent, you can click on this link and it will take you to state and national help. And this is exclusively for Badwolf patrons. You get a discount here, okay? So this is a affiliate, official affiliate. They also are a former student of Ron Gibson. So we're going to promote both of them, but this is the discount. Ron gives discounts on his books for my people, but not necessarily for the services. Okay. So that's link here, the land patent. Okay, which is in the Pro Shop. You can also go to resources. Teach you how to create an ID, mobile notary with my cousin Latia. If you're going to do some traveling, my cousin Amber does traveling right here. If you want to get started on Uphold and get a credit for doing investing. Otherwise, right here, you've got Ron Gibson and the land patent book and services. Okay, so it's got his email, and you can also give him a call right here. All right. So your property, though it has an allodial side, those two people can help you to get the patent, to do a correct chain of title, and then to file it correctly. If it's not done right, it will not be done right, and they may try to come after you for that. So you need to have somebody do it, okay? So that's one. Two, I have just completed the, I made a video beginning on how to get your house into the private. So I either will be doing a seminar on that, which you can find the seminar on the seminars page. And then you can get your house out of the property tax rolls if you decide by making it private, okay? Because as of right now, you're taxable because of how it's set up. So you can't just go down there and say, I'm not taxable. Now, what's interesting is that my viewers who've worked with me in the private, we've talked about it, we put things together. Essentially, they were able to, we had them put their, get their passports done. Now, this doesn't work everywhere, and this may not work. Well, if they see this and then they don't like the information, as we move, they move. So they might not do it as easy, but that's okay. There's still remedy there. But we were able to ascertain that if you do your passport the correct way as a state citizen, somebody in the private, and then you go to the property tax assessor in California and show them that information, they will remove you from the property tax rolls. Okay. Keep in mind, if you want to still yet pay a percentage into it, you can still pay a percentage. You can actually opt to do that. All right. So that's the only state I know thus far, though normally they're the very difficult states, but that you can do that with. The other ones, we're still gathering lots of data. It takes time to learn all these processes, and every state's a little bit different in how they move with the information. So if you guys want that in a consultation, hit me up. Otherwise, I will be doing a seminar probably on what I did, all the steps, might be over amount, but still yet how to get that done. I did make a light video on the basics on how to do that. So you can also look for that video as well. And when you guys email me, don't email me, ask me what name the video was, or because I have 1,000 videos. I just know how to get the stuff done. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just don't have time for you to email me and then ask for that particular video, because I've made so many very, updates and stuff. If you want to search for my videos, use my channel, my YouTube channel, as a database library, free consultation, if you will. Go there, drop down to where the bar says like playlists, like view all files, full video list, right to travel, whatever. Scroll all the way to the right, and you're going to see a magnifying glass and an open search bar. Not the top one, but because that's for the whole internet. On my specific page, there's that little bar, but you have to go all the way over to the right. You can put in there like mortgage audits or right to travel, or in this case, property taxes, property tax rule, something like that. And it'll pull up all the videos I have that I've mentioned that. Okay. Thank you in advance, because otherwise I probably will not answer the emails for that, because it just takes too long for me to go, which one was that? And I have to search. So that's how you search. I have the other side of that on my side. So that's what I would do, is just search the keywords. So use that on the public side and search that way. All right. So do these things properly and you should be good. Do your own research. If you want to do it on your own, start here and pull down the information and set up the correct vehicles and get the right forms, and then make it happen if you so choose to. Otherwise, it's just optional.
1789. The IRS regularly claims that the income tax is voluntary. When you send the IRS your ROE, you are notifying them that you don't wish to volunteer to donate your personal private property, Federal Reserve notes, in the future, and the IRS cannot legally deny your instructions provided in your ROE. In Long versus Rasmussen, revenue laws relate to taxpayers, not to non-taxpayers. The ROE you send to the IRS requires them to change your tax status to that of a non-taxpayer. In the United States of America, there are two separate and distinct jurisdictions, one such being the jurisdiction of the states within their own state boundaries, and the other being federal jurisdiction, United States, which is limited to the District of Columbia, U.S. territories, and federal enclaves within the states, under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, Bevins versus United States, 16 U.S. 336. United States. The term United States, used by the IRS, when used in a geographical sense, includes, meaning is limited to, only the federal zone, states, the District of Columbia and other federal territories within the borders of the states, and the District of Columbia, but the word states in this definition does not include the 50 states of the Union, 26 U.S.C. Sector 7701. Emphasis added. It actually matters not how IRS words and terms are defined, because if you are not earning privileged income from the government and are not involved in an excise taxable activity, you are not defined in law as a taxpayer. Thus, you are not liable for filing a 1040 excise/income tax return. Do you really want to be a citizen of the United States? Read D.C. Under D.C.'s federal IRS taxing powers limited to D.C. domiciled citizens when you could be, and are, a non-taxable American national? One of the three definitions of United States does include the 50 states of the Union, but when used in the tax codes, United States is always referring to and means the District of Columbia. Your Creator granted you agency, dominion, and a free will choice, sovereignty, to determine who you are. Your Creator granted you inalienable and unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the right to own and keep your earnings, private property, earned from the private sector without accepting privileges from a private corporation government in D.C. or being unlawfully taxed when the original Constitution, 1787, protects you against the federal income tax. Government privileges can be taken away at the government's whim. Unalienable rights and your rights of agency, dominion, and a free will to choose your political and taxing jurisdiction can never be mandatorily taken away from you, unless you allow them to be, by filing a Form 1040 tax return. Being an American national and sending the IRS your ROE to change your tax status does not affect. Page 7. Your Social Security standing or your Social Security payments you may be receiving now or will be receiving in the future. A ROE sent to the IRS only affects your tax status with the IRS and is not related or connected to any other government benefit, i.e. Medicare, program you receive now or might be receiving in the future. The law, court rulings, and applicable legislation explanations you would need to understand as to why you are not liable for filing a Form 1040 are provided in the Revocation of Election, ROE, documents you will receive. You will get over 100 reasons why you are not required to file a Form 1040. Who is liable for filing a Form 1040 tax return is primarily determined by where a person lives and works.
So now the one thing I will say that's different here is that though there's not exactly 100 in our particular pack of information, that's a rough estimate. There's 100 reasons behind these things, but there's not like literally 100 questions listed out. Okay, there's court cases and basic information. Recommend that you do get it notarized and use it as you see fit. So let's keep going.
Works. Answer a short list of easy questions and see the criteria to learn if you are qualified to execute a revocation of election, ROE. Almost all state citizens, 99%, qualify.
So essentially, you have elected to be taxable, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I know a number of people who, have told this information to, and they want to continue to pay taxes. Nothing wrong with that. Now, remember, these things should be done properly. And from their own words, if you elect to not pay taxes, you cannot just not pay taxes. You have to do it the correct way, either personally or with a proper vehicle to utilize, as your pass through, okay? So most of the people that have done revocation of elections have reported that when you do it properly, especially with your HR department at work, you're looking at least 30 to 45 days or two week time frame paychecks before they stop removing the taxes. Most people have reported that their own HR department said that if you are tax exempt on the federal level, you're tax exempt on the state level. So do your own research when it comes to that as well. If, once again, I digress, if you elect to not pay taxes and you're doing it the proper way and they notify you, they may refer to you as a taxpayer and that you are a tax violator or what do they call it? Or doing tax evasion, okay? You need to rebut those presumptions that they are providing. If in fact you're doing the revocation properly, if you're just not paying, then that's exactly what you are, okay? Because you have a contract with them. All right, but if you're doing it the proper way, then in fact, what you're doing is tax avoidance. This comes right from their books. And there are numerous ways, like I said earlier, to deal with, back taxes and, certain amounts owed, depending on how much and whatever else. We do provide consultations on that to a degree. This is not to be construed as legal advice, nor is anything that we give. Everything that we do would be a private consultation. This is only for private people, or people, living persons operating the private, and not for any officers, agencies, and whatnot. That's not for them because you're operating as a U.S. citizen, so we have nothing to offer you. This is for natural-born, private living people who are correcting their standing and choose to operate in the private or to convert said things. So we are not able to help you. That you need to talk to your people about and see what you can do. All right. Otherwise, that's it, guys. So thank you once again for watching the video and listening to the information. You now understand more than you did before that paying taxes is optional right from the gate. But if you're already in the contract, which 99% of us are, then you need to find a way to change that. And it's not terribly difficult. We've made the videos. So once again, you can get the consultation, you can buy the files, or you can take the information here, do your own research, and do it free. All right. If you want a way to cut through the process and to make it faster, then yes, that's what we are here for, you to be able to provide said assistance. But as always, guys, if you're out here paying lots and lots and lots of money for people's packages and whatever else, and I've even heard some people say, oh, your stuff is between 50 to 100 bucks, 200 bucks. That is cheap. So are my consultations. I mean, people are taking my information and creating their own whatever business program, YouTube, whatever, and they're generating more income than me with my own materials. I'm seeing people out here talking about now, I did not come up with the revocation. I will be honest with that. That's not something I just sat down. I studied into it and how to move with various vehicles to be tax exempt, but that was already there before me. This is information that I came across that I'm now sharing that I do provide because I understand it. But yeah, don't be out here paying scammers. Be careful of scammers. If you see people not using any of their real names, you can't. They don't have a website up, which is trackable and traceable. Look at their emails, look at how they communicate, how they got a hold of you, whatever it is. Just be careful, guys. As somebody who's been scammed out there, that's one of the biggest things why I never have and never will scam somebody. I've been scammed. All right. I learned all this information by trying to find it for myself, and have had people give me crap information or resell whatever that was trash or was incomplete or whatever else. So be careful with that. And I mean, never spend more money than you can afford. That's one of the reasons why my prices are cheap, and I try to be available and affordable to the average person. But people are here charging $2,000 for a revocation of election. I did a consultation yesterday. This lady literally told me she paid almost $1,700 for a revocation, and then these people, I won't mention names, disappeared on her when she started asking questions, and she got a response letter that she didn't know how to reply back to from the IRS, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so no. My prices and things are set because I know what it's like to miss meals. I know what it's like to not pay your bills. I know what it's like to just need a little bit of a help. And, so I charge enough that it's means something, but I also give you guys information on how to find it for free. All the information are in my videos or on the free files. But if you need guidance and help, then yeah. So that's why I have almost no complaints or complaints from people. Very few. Very few. Matter of fact, I try to always over-provide so that nobody can say, oh, I didn't get enough information or whatever. Like I had one guy do that, and then I'd explain the whole scenario. He's like, oh, okay. Now, I can't speak for other people out there, but I'm a real dude. I have feelings. I'm trying to do my best to provide this information. All right. And most people wouldn't even have learned any of this information if they wouldn't have seen it either here or somebody, providing it. Hopefully they're a good person. So, you know, don't be rude. The information is there. Some people are like, well, you should just give me all your information for free. What? Okay, entitled person. How about you go on the internet and you just not bother me and you find it for free then? Or you read the books, you contact these agencies, you sit on the phone for hours, you get all, you know, you do it. All right. So understand that some people like me, who's a real person, I really do this stuff. All right. Other people out there may not, they might be just reselling. I'm not even mad at them. If that's what you're going to do it. I can't stop you. I ain't even trying to try. Make your money. I'm just saying, if you're going to resell people's stuff, at least be reasonable with the prices, provide good service. That's why when people go through things, you know, with my stuff, I almost never hear back from most of my people other than the thank you, it worked, this is awesome. I got most of my people are people who bought other people's crap stuff and then had problems or get into trouble and they're like, hey, how do I get out of this? I bought, and I won't mention their names, this person's package, I did their process, and this is the letter I got, and then it's like, oh, because I really do these things. But keep in mind, once again, that does not mean to come to me with your problems with other people. I also do not want to do court cases. All right, there's information here where you guys can figure it out for yourself. Otherwise, I might as well charge you. I mean, most of them lawyers now, they're charging $15 to $2,500 just to let them hold it, just to talk to them. And then there's how much the rest of it's going to cost. So if I was going to look at your case and it's going to take me time to review and whatever else, you're about to drop $1,000 for the case. And I'm still not going to promise you anything, just like a lawyer. You know what most lawyers do? Give me $2,500. Thanks. All right. So that's my retainer. It's going to be another 25 or 5,000 for me to actually do any of the processes. They show up to court with you. And then they go, Judge, well, what do you recommend? Okay, then they look at you. Yeah, so I think we should just take that deal. That's what they do. Because you don't have much choice because you don't know how to move in there. So just keeping it real. And then I still I wouldn't guarantee anything. So anyway, just saying. So for those people who keep reaching out, hey, can you do my court case? The information is on my YouTube that you guys can use. I will eventually be doing some seminars on how to deal with most court cases for most simple things. It'll be very intrinsic, I guess, or very involved. Lots of information. There's a lot there. So I've been pricing that out. They might be right around $250, something like that, somewhere in there. Like I said, I try not to make it too grueling. Okay, but this is my life's work. This is years of me learning how they move and how to deal with these things. Okay. So, and even if you know everything perfect, even if you have the perfect lawyer, that doesn't mean that it still might not go the way you want, because not all people are good people. Some judges don't know the law, and something they whatever they say just goes, and there's nothing above them. Well, they are quite wrong. So that is it, guys. If you do not want to pay taxes, I just gave you guys all the remedy on how to not pay them. Plus, there's other videos on how to get certain things, taxes and whatever else, taken off of your check and removed. I made all those videos, so go back through the videos. They are there. Use it if you choose. Remember, this is for private people. This is not for tax-paying U.S. citizen, direct federal employees. But this is not against you guys. It's just understanding that right now, I do not know if there's a way around that, because everything that I've been able to read says that they have a right to directly tax you guys because you work directly for them. We, the private, though we've been made into the public, do not have a direct correlation like you guys have. We're not officially members of that. So we have that ability. Now, if you guys left your positions and started another job, then you're good. I can help you. Other than that, and I've done this for various people in various agencies, you know, certain things. Yeah, so you guys don't really have much leeway there. Might be some things you guys can do when transferring your money, but other than that, not so much. But for everybody else, if you choose to use it, cool, don't abuse it. vet your own information, and I'll talk to you guys later. Wolf is out.